this is a fucking mess. By the way, I'm really tired when recording this, so my voice might sound much more monotone. This, and also because I'm not trying to force an internet random personality voice compared to my other video, so you all just have to deal with that. To give a little rundown of who I'm talking about, let me introduce you to Synnibear03, previously known as Scootaloo Love Sands. She's a well-known figure in the animation meme community with 500k subscribers, and she's been in some hot water recently, some for good reasons, while others not so much.
But Gator, there's so many people talking about this. Why don't you just let it be for the people who are more used to making commentary on rant videos?
Because those are made by less mature people who don't have the same form of understanding that these subjects require. Also because I felt like it. I will start the video with saying all the things I won't get into, because whenever a person makes a video about the dumb points in the drama, people will always say shit like,
"Why didn't you bring up X-bad thing, Batman?"
As if OP's intentions with debunking shitty points was defending Synnibear's bad behavior.
Like, no shit, saying the N-word is bad.
This ain't rocket science, so I will just be making small notes on what I won't be talking about. I will not get into the lack of trigger warnings, not because the original point was bad, but because Synni has improved and is putting trigger warnings on her content now. Still doesn't change the merit of that point, just don't feel like the need to talk about it because it's something she's actively improving on. Her saying slurs because
it's funny XD.
Take this as a person who has been called slurs while being threatened. It's not. Her transphobia. Basically, she used to do this series called Fangirl Mania, where she would react to other sans fangirls. One person named Snow something specifically said they use they, them pronouns. Synni called them a snowflake and misgendered them on purpose, which then prompted a lot of transphobia aimed towards this user. She also had this thing where she talked about her dreams, in which Alias, a trans man, gets magical bottom surgery to make him a real man. While transphobic, yes, I will never deny that. I feel like this is one of those cases where a cis person tries to be trans inclusive, but in reality it's just very transphobic. Compare it to when a cis person praised their friend for passing so well, or all trans people want surgery, so it's fine because they will have these characteristics in the future. Or the whole thing about her being abusive to her ex. The reason why is because the only proof we have is testimony from her girlfriend. Does that mean it's fake? We don't know. That's why it's a testimony. However, at one point I will bring up this screenshot that indicates that there have been some scribbles between both of them, but those are he said, she said testimonies, and we can't prove any of both sides' claims. Other than that, I just don't feel comfortable talking about this situation. Also her friendship with Birdie in general, because she is public about it, and people can talk about their discomfort about that fact. This also goes with the Charlie situation, because guess what, kids? Drawing yourself killing your ex-friend, helping dogs that said ex-friend, is bad. Wow, really? Who would have thought? Why am I stating this again? Oh yeah, because apparently calling out the bullshit claims that made in this situation, like her preying on LGBT women, don't worry, I'll get into that, means that you support doxing. What a world, what a world. This point of the drama is so dumb my head hurts. I think the reason why this was brought up was because Synni thought she was bi, found out she was straight, and then stayed in a relationship with her ex for another month because of the fear of loneliness. People staying in a loveless relationship is extremely common. It can be for multiple reasons, so that part of the drama is really dumb. There's also the fact that she comes from a conservative household. Heck, in one of her live streams called Hide Me From My Parents, she jokes about the fact that she needs to spray the gay away, and talked about how her father forbid her from talking to her ex because they were in a same-sex relationship. Why the fuck would Synni set her life and relationship with her parents at risk just to prey on girls on the internet? Also, this is just reworded by phobia. Long story short, some lesbians claim that bi women prey on vulnerable lesbians when they just want to have fun, but then go back to being a straight relationship when deciding to have a serious relationship. and by indicating that when a Synni found out she was straight, she was preying on LGBT women, you are indirectly confirming these biphobic statements. Nice. Love that. 10 out of 10. Beautiful. People claim that Synnibear has maladaptive daydreaming. First off, I haven't seen her claiming this herself before this drama. So points to kids on the internet for basically diagnosing a person without not only their consent, but also shame that mental illness for internet points. But do people really know what maladaptive daydreaming really is? Is it just something you all are pulling out of your asses? Yeah, probably, with how you all are treating this condition. It wouldn't surprise me that a bunch of art commentary channels decide to be ableist. It wouldn't be the first time, and it wouldn't be the last. A lot of you might think it's just a weird form of daydreaming, or even a different form of schizophrenia. But guess what? It's not! Maladaptive daydreaming is a condition where a person will daydream for much longer than what a normal person will do. This can last for a few minutes to hours on end, but there's so much more to it. The daydreaming, a lot of the times, can be involuntarily and start by specific personal triggers. One person have even claimed to have lost multiple jobs because of their daydreaming, and professionals are considering qualifying maladaptive daydreaming as a form of mental illness. It isn't harming anyone other than maybe Synni herself, and none of the people she depicts in this event world have stated that they are uncomfortable with her drawing her maladaptive daydreaming.
But their daydreaming can affect how she sees people, which can make Alias look like a good person,
Which in reality is none of our business, like I'm sorry, but if she wants to see Alias as a good person, then it's her own problem. As a person who struggles a lot with maladaptive daydreaming, to the point of me not functioning in society if I haven't done it in one way or another, it's fucking disgusting to see people, some even with mental illness themselves, use this as a point to shame the mental illness. Having abusive OCs doesn't mean you support abuse in real life. I know people are gonna pull out the romanticization card and point toward the fucking Hey Juicy meme, which if you watch scene by scene can be interpreted as how the different people sees the abuser, Taffy. One scene is happy, bubbly, which can be seen as Taffy's viewpoint. Next is sketchy hot man, which represents reality. Back to sunshine and rainbows, and then the sketches become almost indistinguishable, representing the transition to moth viewpoint of the situation, which turned the blue happy rainbow background and character into a monster North Seas. Repeat that transition with reality and the monster coexisting in the real world, symbolizing how Taffy is the real monster. The next scene is now how she looks, but the background doesn't change, confirming that the colorful character is in fact evil. Then flip and she's the monster again, and this is just one in a million ways to interpret this animation. I can't believe artists don't know how to analyze art. Oh wait. If that is re-romanticizing abuse, we need to cancel Sir Fluff and Ghostface Nicole for making an entire map dedicated to poking fun about X person being interested in Y person. Y person isn't interested in X person, then decides to stalk them in response, trying to get them to like them back. But we aren't we? Literally, Ghostface Nicole should be cancelled because her main OC is a serial killer psychopathic yandere. But we don't, because we know she does not support those things she shows in her videos and art, and hers is all pink and pastel and bubbly. But we don't say she's romanticizing any of those things because we can analyze her art and see the symbolism in it. How the fuck can we do the same for Synni's art when there's only like a few drawings of these characters compared to the arsenal that is of Ghostface Nicole's main OC? People are also pointing out that she used hyperfixated on random people, a term mostly used towards neurodivergent people. Hyperfixation is defined by Google. What is hyperfixation? Essentially, it's being completely immersed in something, whether it be a video game, movie, TV, fandom culture, or a hobby like crocheting. While typically associated with ADHD and autism, people with mental illnesses may also experience hyperfixation. A user named Winniemoth, go check out his videos on this situation, suggested that it could be a form of projecting. And no, that does not make her a bad person or support abuse in real life. If that was the case, literally everyone in the animation meme community should be cancelled. You all need to fucking chill. This one is about her self-insertship with Nightmare Sans and Error Sans, two well-known villains in the Undertale alternate universe. She portrays herself in the relationship as abused. People are claiming that she's romanticizing abuse with these two characters, which I'm sorry, but how? She's portraying them as what they are, bad people, by showing everyone that the relationship is abusive. Wouldn't it be more romanticizing if she portrayed these two murderous evil characters as
small boys?
Also, does that mean that people who ship themselves with canonically manipulative serial killer characters romanticize abuse? Does that mean that people who ship themselves with Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, and Jason Voorhees support abuse? Or maybe it's a fictional ship between her and two fictional characters that doesn't hurt anyone. And if it did, that means she would be the victim.
Oh, but she hasn't been abused, so she's fetishizes.
We do not know if she's been abused, and going around and dissecting a person's personal life like that is fucking wrong! Not because we might be wrong, but because we might be right. And we will remove the security of keeping your own trauma to yourself. Some people use depictions of abuse or abusive ships in their art as a way for venting the issues in real life. The real issue don't always have to be a form of abuse, nor does it invalidate the severity of the acts being shown. Hypothetically, let's say she has some sort of trauma with abuse, and she does use this as a coping mechanism of some sort. Many will say it's an unhealthy one. Yeah, that can be true, but she's literally 17 and can't solve things as easily as people may think. It's been thrown around that she's seeking therapy for her thoughts/feelings, and it's a long process of trying to overcome her problems. Shitting on her to get better faster can be counterproductive. Not to mention, she kept her AU bullshit vague for the most part. As will be mentioned a bit later, people are harping on the fact that she doesn't expand on what is happening for a more realistic depiction of abuse, while at the same time condemning her for using it at all. There is no pleasing everyone without sacrificing her own artistic freedom, without not showing it entirely. That is completely unfair. If you don't like what an artist is making, doesn't mean it's problematic and support a certain thing. Go find somewhere else you can handle, or just avoid those things from Synni. She makes art for herself, not for you. I know at one point she was called out for referring to her ship as
abusive,
which she later on did correct and apologize for, so she has already fixed that problem. There's people going around saying that Synni supported pedophilia because her self-insert character at the time, Scootaloo, had in the bio that the character was/body stopped aging at 13, and because they were shipped with Sans, that meant that it was pedophilic, which means she supported pedophilia. Let me get this straight, people. Synni was 13 when she made this.
What? This 13-year-old has this self-insert character that they made the same age/body so that the self-insert character can be more relatable to them personally because they are the same age. How dare they!
Oh my god. Self-insert shipping is supposed to be ageless, regardless if a character has a confirmed age or not. Does that mean when kids read X-reader stories on Wattpad with characters that is over the age of 18 is secretly supporting a real adult coming up to them and asking them to be in a relationship? Holy shit. Does that mean I supported pedophilia because when I was like 15 I shipped myself with Jason Voorhees? Why are we trying to ruin a child's innocent fun? She even changed the age and body of the character when Scootaloo stopped being a form of self-insert. Why do people care so much about how a child shipped themselves with a fictional skeleton man?
Synni has a rape fetish she shows to her child fan base.
No, she doesn't. How do you know that? Well, first off, let's take a look at her art of her self-insert ship with Nightmare Sans. I tried finding something, and there is nothing. The only thing I can kinda see it be a sign of sexual abuse if you specifically try to look for it are these two art pieces. The first one has this caption on Twitter.
It's bedtime, but I'm not sleepy. I also tried to design a bed for the Nude Kidnap Me AU. I really need a shorter name for that AU. Anyway, here you go. Throws the art at you, which indicate that she is having problems with sleeping. This one, for all we know, could symbolize assault, but it could also symbolize how Synni is hiding from her abuser in a childlike way, by hiding under her blanket as a way to feel safe from her abuser. Or it could symbolize how Nightmare can only find her when she is in her bed, because he is, from what I can remember, a god of nightmares. You can go with a lot of symbolism when you have a character named Nightmare.
But of course, that's not the one you all are looking for. You want me to talk about the screenshots where Synni talks about wanting to be raped by Error and Nightmare. The thing is, these screenshots are between Synni and someone she trusted. How do I know? Well, a little bird, aka a person who are helping Synni with her response video, stated this in the comments of another rant video. Which means she thought these conversations were in a safe environment where she could vent to her friend about these thoughts. She even stated that she is going to therapy for these thoughts because they became so real she will cry to sleep feeling violated. These are not normal reactions to having the comment consensual non-consent kink. These are reactions to underlying issues that is none of our business. And I could go into details how these fantasies are pretty common in specifically women, but I don't feel like it because she is already in therapy for it, so if it's that bad, then it's probably something else than consensual non-con roleplay and fantasies because they are in a controlled environment. Which means you can stop the quote-unquote assault at any given moment for whatever reason you feel like. Yes, this is a normal fantasy, and yes, a lot of victims use it as a way to gain their power back. I link resources in the descriptions that talk about this. And I don't want any sort of victim-blaming bullshit in the comments trying to argue with me about what is and isn't healthy way to handle trauma, because that is up to the individual and their therapist to decide, not a random stranger on the internet equating their own personal boundaries as the one and be all for everyone. Here's the thing, I'm a victim of mental abuse. I do not want to sit in a circle with a bunch of other victims hearing about their stories because I feel invalidated. However, someone with the specific same trauma as I have might be happy to hear that other people have experienced the same. That is how different trauma victims are. But hey, let's just expose a teen's kinks, or hell, their private mental problems to the internet. Sure, nothing bad will ever happen when exposing a 17 will turn 18 in 2021-year-old sexual thoughts. It's not like predators will see this and think she will not only be an easy target because of her fear of loneliness, but also soon to be a legal adult, so that the law wouldn't be able to do anything because she will be a legal adult at the time. God. And what does this even contribute to the conversation? Because she kept this in private and she didn't put any of those themes in her art. So what the fuck is this point even? For other than to shame a mentally unstable person for going to therapy for thoughts she has stated she can't control. Is it because those thoughts are in sunshine and rainbows?
Oh, she shouldn't have talked about these things with the person.
Shut the fuck up. It's really common for teens to talk about these things, and I'm sure if you think about your own conversations with your friend group, there is something private in there you don't want anybody else to know. This drama is not just dumb, but a different retelling of the Sashley and Dollygods drama. Sashley drama, exposing a teen's kinks from private screenshots taken out of context. Check. Having a bunch of kids who does not understand kinks try and tell other kids a flawed and misconstrued version of that kink to fit the narrative. Check. Dollygods drama, accusing an artist of glorifying abuse in their art even though that is not the case. Check. Villainizing mental illness as a way to say the person suffering from that illness is bad for showing symptoms of that said illness. Check. Having a bunch of art commentary channels not understand how to analyze art. Check. There are valid points to this drama, but those points are destroyed by the amount of idiocy thrown in there. Originally, lack of trigger warnings. Good point. Her misgendering her ex-friend and joining in on Birdie's bad behavior. Good point. But then you have stuff like they're preying on LGBT women that destroys it. Not to mention the breach of privacy by exposing Synni's kinks/mental problems to thousands of people. Like, what did we gain from that? And don't get me started on her community post where people were ripping into her after she told people she was still working on the video, not understanding that she is in a lot of distress because every move is under a telescope and she feels like she needs to remind people she isn't running away from the situation. Literally the points that I have brought up has been discussed in fucking Ponder videos. Her Sashley video was literally about how kids does not understand what kinks are, and that exposing kids' kinks just to shame that kid is disgusting behavior. Or how about the Dollygut situation? It's about the fact that just because something looks cute doesn't mean it's romanticizing. Do any of you even realize that when Panda makes her video, it's a form of blueprints as not to do when something similar happens again? Or do you just all think it's episodic and that we aren't supposed to learn as a community when these things happen? The most annoying thing I've seen people saying is,
I used to look up to you.
Which I wouldn't have cared about if it was directed at an adult, but you all have to remember, Cindy turned 17 around 6 months ago. Her birthday is in September, and that you really shouldn't be looking up to a child content creator that way. Cindy has been on this platform for what, 3 to 4 years, so she would have been around 13 when she started YouTube. People change. Kids change. And they will definitely make mistakes. Thinking that kids should be these pure beings, especially when they are independent without any form of connection to a brand of some sort to make sure they don't do anything problematic, is absurd. But it doesn't surprise me, because the people saying this are kids themselves, and I'm sure you all have done some stupid shit for being an ill-informed kid. Not to mention a lot of these conversations are from private DMs, and as if other content creators hasn't already explained, using screenshots of private DMs aren't that great because you can easily take things out of context or crop to make them seem worse than what was originally said. Literally, there isn't even names on some of these screenshots in the doc, so I have to guess my way through some of them, and some I can't even verify. Not saying some of these Discord screenshots doesn't show bad behavior, her saying the N slur and LGBT slurs, but others are taken from private conversations that, as I said before, she thought was in a safe environment to vent her thoughts. And let's also get into the ableism that was just casually thrown around like it was nothing, and how everyone was just fucking fine with it. I link a subreddit that is dedicated to users talking about their maladaptive daydreaming, because the way this was treated was fucking unacceptable and disgusting. In the end, these points in the drama was not only dumb, but also dangerous. From biphobia to ableism, it's honestly a fucking wreck. I'll link the Panda videos who talk more in detail about a lot of these subjects and how not to handle them. And if you already have watched them, do it again, because some of you clearly did not get the fucking message that Panda was trying to get across. And Cindy, if you're watching this video, I think you should get an adult involved in making your script. Like, I don't know, maybe Nani, Spectre, maybe even Panda can help you with scripting your script, because a lot of these subjects are much more convoluted than what any kid or even me myself can understand. Yeah, that's all.